Well, I think that historically, at the root of our Western objection to this idea, is that it's discourteous to God. It is as if to say God did not really create the world, as it says in the Bible, but that he only seemed to. But you realize that this is an absolute verbal hang-up. It's really a question of, it's also a question of values. If the world is real, then I must take you seriously, and you must take me seriously. If the world is only a dream, then it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You see, if you say it doesn't matter, then you are saying it's purely spiritual. Like it's immaterial, baby. No? And you see how we flip around in our use of words. We say something, oh, that's mere matter. So, it doesn't matter. Everybody gets completely confused in the way they think about these things because they've never really been thought about clearly, these questions of is it real or is it not real. When an Oriental says to something that it's not real, the first thing he means is it's not permanent. And so the quality of change, of the smoke-like, and therefore they say the dream-like, because the dream vanishes, you see, and so they say life is like a dream. It keeps, as you get older, you're more and more aware of the speed at which things change. With a child, it seems to be slow. Children easily get bored. But as you get older, life is just going, especially if you live in California, where you can't keep a steady mailing list for more than 2 months, because every 2 months, a quarter of the addresses change. And, the bulldozers come in and they change the shape of everything and knock down all the old buildings and up go new ones, and then they get knocked down. Well, they're so jerry-built that they fall apart. But there it goes, you see, and so there is this quality. He means dreamlike. The thing is in constant flux. But he also means illusion in showing the extent to which what is going on in this flux is a creation of the perceiving organism. So that by illusion, the Oriental also means relative, as in the relationship between the air vibrations and the ear, between the cloud, the sun, and the observer. These things produce rainbow, sound, and so on, but these are relative realities. And so when Buddhists use the word void, shunyata in Sanskrit, as designating the nature of the world, this should rather be translated relativity than nothingness. The great scholar Stravatsky made this very plain in his book on the Buddhist nirvana. It is relativity that we should think of rather than our ideas of non-being. So from that point of view, as also from the standpoint of quantum mechanics and modern physics, the illusory nature of the world is very clear. It was so much so that one physicist, who was a little daft, used to go round in the most enormous padded shoes for fear of dropping through the atomic structure of the floor. So one gets this extraordinary sense then of living in this incredibly real-seeming world, which, the more you analyze it, consists mostly of space. And you come to feel a, shall I say, diaphanous quality about things. That a mountain is only a faster wave and longer lasting rainbow. And that, as the poet said, the hills are shadows and they flow from form to form and nothing stands. And if you will experience this, this kind of creepy feeling you get when you think that this is just, that you and everything about you is just a whoosh, here and gone. And swallowed up in space. Now, why do you say swallowed up? You see? People, poets, people who talk, swallowed by the grave, swallowed into space, disappeared into nothing, gone, vanished, into thin, thin air. Why is there an objection to this? Well, one's been taught to object. Because you've been taught to identify with the solid side of the picture and to disidentify with the empty side of the picture. But you've been hoaxed and fooled. Because you, when you die, are not, as it were, gulped up by thin air. You're just as much the thin air as anything else. It's all of a piece. It isn't a fight going on. But everything is represented as a fight, a contest between this side and that. But this is really the whole thing about illusion. Where the ordinary person sees a battle, the enlightened person sees a cooperation between two sides. Have you ever tried to play chess with yourself and honestly take each side as you play its move against the other one? Or to get two, those swords they have in bars they stick into olives in martinis. You get two of these swords and fence with yourself and see if you really can stick it into one of your hands and have the other one defend it. This is the most fascinating game. And this is the game God is playing, sitting there. Two hands, here's good, here's evil. Here's Jesus Christ and here's Lucifer. And he's got real involved in this fight, you see. When he finds out that if he makes the right hand win all the time, there's no point in the game. He has to get into the left hand. But in order for there to be a real fight, he mustn't let the left hand know what the right hand is doing, vice versa, you see. Here explains all the stuff in the Bible. But really, you see, underneath, the two hands, they join back here, like a kind of a horseshoe, or like the snake Ouroboros, which is always after his own tail. And an aspect of that, not letting your left hand know what your right hand is doing, is the way we identify ourselves with what's inside the skin and not with what's outside it. We identify ourselves as reality with the solid things that we can see, and all the rest is space, and that's nothing, you see. We characteristically take sides in a situation where both sides are aspects of the situation. We would take this side. Will you have this or that? Choose. But the sage doesn't choose. Because he said, well, there's no choice here. He might choose for the sake of going along. Like somebody says, well, what would you like to do today? We can go into town and do some marketing, or we can stay out here and go swimming. You don't care what you do, So you just say one in order to satisfy your guest, your host.